Hey everyone, welcome back to Christmas in July on iHeartMovies. My name is Jonathan North, and today the Hallmarkies are back with another set of Hallmark films for us to talk about. Rachel Wagner is joining me once more, and this time she's brought her co-host Cammie, and they've chosen two new Hallmark movies for me, Fir Crazy and Once Upon a Christmas Miracle. For those of you who may be new here, Rachel is the person who actually got me into this world of podcasting, and I actually worked as an intern for the Hallmarkies Podcast Network for a year while I was working on my bachelor's degree. So even though I'm not a loyal Hallmark viewer myself, I still feel really connected to that world, and I always enjoy watching and talking about a few of the best Hallmark films that they pick out for me each year. Now before we get into the show, if you're just listening to this on Anchor or most any other mainstream podcast platform, I want to remind you that there is a video version up on YouTube that you can watch if you like that sort of thing. We don't usually talk about anything on screen, but since Rachel and Cammie were a bit decked out for Christmas in July, we did talk about that some at the beginning, so I thought it might be worth mentioning here, if you want to see all their festive regalia. Okay, I think that's all I've got for now. Let's get on with this episode of Christmas in July on iHeartMovies. Well, I guess we can probably just jump into it. I wish I had a better background. I technically have a green screen, but it's going to take too long to set up. And I'm still in the process of moving. Like, I moved last month, and I'm trying to unpack, but I've still kind of got a mess. But oh well.
That's okay. We can bring all the festivity to you.
Yeah, you bring a lot of festivity. You're the most festive.
Yeah, she's got the fancy background. I can pull down my family photo. You know, that.
Oh, you're fine.
I could go get my hot cocoa mug. I just want to drink Swiss Miss and watch Hallmark. Yeah, so I could go get that if you wanted me to.
Well, I guess we could probably just jump right into these. I think we'll talk about Fir Crazy first.
All right.
And that was the first one I watched because that was the one that Rachel recommended. So since you picked this one out, Rachel, do you want to give us like a synopsis and tell us why you chose this one?
Yeah. So the reason why I picked this is one of my favorite Hallmark Christmas movies. And I think what makes this one, in my opinion, better than a lot of the others is I think that it has such clear character motivations. It's not just somebody that just randomly hates Christmas for some reason. Like, there's a clear motivation for why she is the way she is. I mean, if you had grown up in a family where your parents ran a Christmas tree lot, it makes sense that you'd kind of be slightly resentful of Christmas because they've taken your parents and made them really busy. And so her having to now run this Christmas lot, everything has kind of come full circle, and she's having to grow and change as a person. And so I think the movie has more, has better characters and characters with more clear motivation than you sometimes get. And I love Sarah Lancaster. I think she is really charismatic and really warm and likable on screen. I don't think it's actually even that much of a romance. So maybe it would get docked for some people in the Hallmark world, but I think there's there, and it's nice and pleasant and fun, but it's really more about her growth and how she becomes a better person. I admit that the head of the department store is a little over the top in his grouchiness, but it still works for me as a kind of a classic Christmas tale, and I like her growth as a person. I like that it's set in the city, which you don't always get. That's the reasons why I think it's one of the better Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah, I think I started getting into this one. I was like, this might actually be like my favorite Hallmark movie that we've watched for one of my Christmas in Julys. And part of that might be because I recognize so many of the actors. I don't know, but Sarah Lancaster, she played Ellie Bartowski on Chuck. I don't know if you've ever seen Chuck, but I love
my husband loves that show.
I love that show so much, and that was the first place I ever saw her. So now I get excited whenever I see her in anything else. And she was great in this.
Yeah.
And then the love interest, Darren, was played by Eric Johnson, who I recognized from Smallville. If you've ever seen Smallville, in the first season he was Lana Lang's boyfriend, Whitney Fordman. And that's like the only thing that I think I've seen him in, but I loved that show so much, and I probably watched the first season multiple times back in the day. So I was very familiar with him from that. So
Yeah.
to see him again in something was surprising and kind of fun. He was a very different character.
He's
And
been
then,
in
of course-
several. He's been in
Yeah.
several Hallmark movies
Okay.
up
Yeah.
to this point. First time I ever saw him was in a movie called The Work and the Glory. And he was, it's the story of two brothers that kind of become antagonistic towards each other. And he was the antagonistic one. And he was completely different physically than I thought he would because it's based on a book. So what I saw him up on the screen, like I never would have pictured him to look like that. But then you started watching the movie, and then he did it very, very well.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a really solid cast, and it is kind of funny because the big grouchy guy is on Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's usually really funny.
Yeah, I
And-
recognized him right away too. Colin Mockery or Mockery.
Yeah,
Mhm.
mockery.
And
Yeah.
I saw his name in the cast list, and I was expecting not this. I guess
Yeah.
maybe some sort of like lovable grandpa type.
Right.
I was not expecting him to be a severe Scrooge.
But I think that she learns to forgive her parents by the end of it. She understands them better. And then also he learns to forgive and deal with his grief. And I don't know, it's just a really sweet, lovely little movie, I think.
Hmm. And at least for me, like I've seen a bunch of these, and you've usually picked out the best ones, but I know Hallmark can have a reputation for cheesiness, and I didn't feel
Mhm.
like this had too much that was that cheesy.
Mhm.
And I thought the dialogue was really believable. Like I didn't get anything on this that was like cringy, unbelievable, like nobody would ever say that. I felt like this is all realistic and funny, and I liked the interactions with everybody.
Yeah. Have you seen this one, Cami? Fir Crazy?
I did, but it has been a while. I haven't watched it recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say anything really firm on it. But I remember liking it. I remember really loving it. And I also love Sarah Lancaster. So yeah. I will admit that a lot of times the Hallmark movies, even the really good ones, they really start to kind of run together. But I remember liking this one. I remember thinking that it was a very solid piece, a very solid project. And it came out as one that I really, really did enjoy.
And this one is from way back in 2013.
Yeah.
When they didn't do quite as many. And I do think that the older ones, because they only made back then, they were only making like 4 or 5. I mean, maybe 10. I forget how many each year. I do think they were a little bit better. I do think there is a quality for quantity argument to be made. But I've also sort of sat with this one the longest. And so, who knows how well some of those newer ones will sit. But yeah, she's great. She's just so warm and likable. Even when she's being kind of the woman of business, which is always a bit tricky in Hallmark. But you still like her because she's just a likable actress. And like I said, I just think her character motivations are really sound, and it makes sense to me why she behaves the way she does. And I appreciate that. So glad you enjoyed it.
Speaking of being a woman of business, I thought this was funny because you always talk about how like the business is evil and the Hallmark.
Yeah.
This is kind of backwards almost, in that she's in the city, she ends up staying in the city, and she takes a job in the city in the end.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that. I expected her to move back to the Christmas tree farm.
Well, I've joked a lot that you can't be a good person in the city in Hallmark unless you run a parade or you're a window designer. That's always I always said. But I think maybe we can run a Christmas tree lot in the city. That's maybe a third.
Yeah,
a third.
a little out there.
A third allowable career.
I don't remember if it said or not. Do you think she's staying on with that? Like it'll be the part-time job at Christmas, or was that just a 1-year thing?
I think she'll continue to at least sort of oversee it and run it. Whether she'll be there on the ground every day during the Christmas season, I don't know, but I think she'll still kind of make sure that it's happening and that it's being run. Maybe let her cousin, maybe he'll kind of run it on the ground every day. I don't know.
Yeah, because I felt like that was like the main thing that changed her as a person. It would seem, I don't know, wrong if she never did it ever again.
Yeah, that's what I think. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
I was glad I liked it too, because like I never know what to expect with the Hallmark movies, so I'm glad to find one that I enjoyed.
Yeah, because the cheesiness is kind of part of the appeal. It's kind of, I don't know, what you kind of like about the wholesome sort of cheesy romance nature. But yeah, this one I do think is a little more grounded than the others.
It wasn't devoid of cheesiness for people who want the cheesiness.
Yeah, it just has a little bit.
Him dressing up as Santa, that was a little...
Hey,
it's fun. That's
don't knock the big guy. Don't knock the big guy.
You gotta have some of that.
Yeah. Well, for people who want it, like if that's their draw.
Yeah.
I don't want me saying that this is not as cheesy as others to be like a downside for them. They got to know there is a loophole.
Well, good. That's great.
So then we could go on to Cammie's pick, Once Upon a Christmas Miracle.
Yes.
So do you want to tell us about this one and why you chose it?
So this is based on the true story of Chris Dempsey and Heather Kruger. Heather Kruger was dying of a liver disease, and she was already in stage 4 by the time they found it. And she needed a living donor liver transplant, and because she was running out of time and she didn't have time to be on a wait list. And Chris Dempsey is a former Marine, and he overhears a coworker at work saying that his cousin needs a liver transplant. And so he goes and gets tested, and he is a match, and he goes through this surgery for a total stranger. And then they fall in love and get married. They don't get married in the movie, but he does propose. And in addition, I forgot to mention this, not only does he save her life, he also organizes a benefit for her to be able to cover her medical expenses so she can go back to nursing school. And, you know, everything that could possibly be seen as cheesy or could be seen as over the top, it really happened.
Yeah.
You know, this is based on a true story, so you can't just dismiss it as another Hallmark movie, because it really did happen. Chris Dempsey was really this amazing, and Heather was really this wonderful, because the two of them really did fall in love. And I looked it up. He actually did propose at Christmas time in a horse-drawn carriage. So, you know, the man's a romantic.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of the story was true, because I didn't realize when Rachel told me this is the one you picked out, I didn't realize it was based on a true story till I started looking into what the movie was. And then I started watching it, and I was like, this is actually really good. Like I guess I expected Fir Crazy to be like the top one. This, I don't think it was quite as fun as Fir Crazy, but I don't think
not at all.
But as far as like a good movie, I think I liked this one even better than Fir Crazy in that respect.
Well, I think in a way it actually shows it's a bit, I think they're good picks, because I think they show sort of both sides of what Hallmark offers.
Yeah,
that you can get the tender dramas, and you can get the cute rom-coms that both sides are there, which is fun.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, the operation itself happened in March. So the operation did
Okay.
not happen at Christmas time, but they put it at Christmas to kind of enhance the magic of Christmas and the spirit of believing and goodwill towards men. But he did propose at Christmas.
Okay.
So
Well, I was kind of wondering about how much Christmas really factored into the real story, because that, I guess the one thing that stuck out to me as maybe a criticism was the family seemed really into Christmas. Like they had that
apparently
list of
you've
things they were
never
checking off.
apparently you've never met my family. Because if you think that's a little over the top, then I'll give you a real example right here. I mean, look at this sweater. This was my present to my husband last year.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They're pretty, like, by Hallmark standards. I wouldn't even consider them over the top.
Okay.
They only had
really
5 things. They only had 5 traditions they were trying to mark off, you know?
I mean, it's amazing. I liked this movie as much as I did because Amy Teagarden, she was on Friday Night Lights, and her character, I did not like her character on the show at all.
A lot of people did not like her character, and so it kind of warded them off. But I had never seen it, so I was able to go on it with a fresh slate.
It was an excellent show, but her character was, I mean, she was a teenager, she's a teenager character growing up. So the fact that she won me over and was able to kind of, because it's also kind of hard when you know someone as when you see somebody as a teenager or a child actor, then you're seeing them in an adult role. Like, can you kind of accept them in this new role? And I did, and I thought that they had a nice chemistry, her and Brett Dalton. I kind of wished they had maybe given him like one or two more moments of kind of, he was a little sometimes what I would call like a manic pixie dream guy for me. Like, he was just so perfect all the time. I think it would have been nice if he'd had one or two moments of like, should I really do this? Yes, I should do this. And it would have humanized him a little bit more, but it is a nitpick. I still really enjoyed it. I thought that obviously had a nice heart to it. It has a great supporting cast. And the fact that it's a true story definitely makes it way better. And so it was one of the highlights.
Weight. It provides a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean,
knowing that it was true really helped it really stand out to me. Like it made me get into it even more.
They must have like a no organ rule in their marriage. Like because you could win any argument. Like I gave you my liver. So I win the argument.
You win.
Well, he told her in earlier that she owes him nothing. So
exactly. So he can't hold that over her. No, my brother hates Hallmark. Hates it. He's a football guy. He's a construction worker. The whole 9 yards. And he was staying at my house last night. And we were talking, and he was saying how he's a sucker for true stories, movies made from true stories. And I said, well, guess what? I said, okay, how many of your football games did I go to when you were in high school? He said, I went to all your plays. No, you didn't. You were gone and in college. I went to Sound of Music. You were in that one, doofus. So I said, do this one thing for me. And he did. He actually sat down and watched it, and he watched the entire thing, and he did not hate it. And he actually really kind of liked it. And I thought, okay, who are you? What have you done with my brother? But on the other hand, it really was a testament to how good the movie was, because my brother, who cannot stand Hallmark and makes fun of me constantly for being affiliated with Hallmark in any way, shape, or form, sat through the entire movie and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Big sister win right there.
I guess that goes to show you that not all Hallmark movies are created equal. Hallmark kind of has their formula that they're known for, but they've all been, at least the ones you guys have recommended to me, have been pretty different.
Well, that's why we like them.
Yeah. I mean, like any studio. Any network, any studio has their highs and lows, has their good ones, has their bad ones, and they're going to have some variety going on. A lot of that comes in, especially I've noticed if you have new writers that kind of come in and they give a little bit of a fresh energy to a story. So I think we could find a Hallmark movie for just about anybody. I really do. I believe that. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
For this one, I had some very random things that I noticed that I wanted to talk about.
All right.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think of a whole lot to talk about when I was watching Fir Crazy, so I didn't have that many notes. But this one, there was just some things that stood out to me. The first one relates to both movies. I found it kind of funny that a main character works selling Christmas trees in both movies.
I didn't even think of that.
I did not think of that. That is funny.
Well, it's a major industry in Hallmark films.
Oh,
Yeah.
very much.
Along with window designing and running parades and
Yeah.
festivals. That's your main sources of income.
And year-round Christmas shops.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then when I saw the name Amy Teagarden in this, for some reason, there's like another Teagarden in Hallmark, isn't there? And I was thinking, is this related to that series?
Aurora Teagarden.
Yes, that's the one.
It's her character name though.
That's what I was
So,
wondering. I was like,
yeah.
I know there's another Teagarden in
Yeah.
Hallmark. And that
You'd
kind of
have to-
confused me for a second.
You'd have to ask what's her name? The writer of the Aurora Teagarden. She's the same one who wrote True Blood, Charlene Harris. Yeah, what you'd have to ask her because she wrote the Aurora Teagarden books.
Maybe she
that
heard
is-
the last name and really
Yeah,
liked
maybe.
it.
Who knows?
I mean, it is.
They are spelled
it is a good
differently.
last name for a character.
Amy is spelled T-E-E, and Aurora is T-E-A.
Okay. And then another weird thing I noticed was when they were in the doctor's office getting the diagnosis. It was like the doctor's office was like decked out for Christmas. And I was like, is this really that realistic when the doctors go to all this trouble?
Of course they do.
And my brother and my husband both said the same thing.
There was one movie this last season where one of the characters ends up in the hospital, and they had like the hospital bed was all decked out for Christmas, and I just died laughing. They had like a Christmas throw, and they had like garland, and I don't know, it was so funny. I'm like, yeah,
They must have some really festive nurses working there.
yeah, that's right.
I have to tell you that another reason why this movie kind of spoke to me and I kind of honed in on it is I was a lot like Heather. I suffered from a life-endangering hernia after my son was born, and it was at Christmas time that I started feeling it in my side. And just like Heather, I said, we'll get it checked out after Christmas. We'll get it checked out after Christmas. And my husband said, no, we're going to get you checked out now. And we went and found out that the hernia was almost strangulated and I could have died from it. So I was very grateful to be home for Christmas that year. Yeah, I was a lot like Heather in that way. And so that character really spoke to me because I was trying to make Christmas special for my family. And the night I went into the day I went into the hospital, I was supposed to be at an event, I'm like, no, I can make it through. No, you can't, So yeah, that made it resonate with me even more.
Yeah, that's reasonable that you would be really relating to that character because of that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were in the hospital, did they have it decked out for Christmas?
Nope. Not even a wreath in the room. But the nurses did write on the whiteboard that I was a Daniel Lissing fan. So
I mean, I think the best you can hope in a hospital is maybe like in the front desk area. Maybe they have
in the lobby. There was a
maybe,
tree in the lobby.
Yeah, a tree in the lobby. Yeah. But yeah, that's hilarious. That's so classic. That's classic Hallmark.
Well, speaking of hospitals, that was another thing that I noticed in this movie. Right after the surgery, she's like up and walking around, and she sneaks out and goes to his room. And I was like, shouldn't she have an IV? Like,
she didn't have an IV?
Like she'd be hooked up to things.
Yeah.
Because I can understand wanting to get out of bed, but like, you're kind of tethered. And I felt like if she'd had surgery, that she should have had something.
Yeah, I forgot that she didn't have an IV, but that's totally true. But yeah, they have to kind of try to keep them together because they need the romance part of it to work. And so I think that's why they did that.
Well, I noticed that he had an IV when she snuck into his room, so I was like, I feel like she should also. But I guess
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I guess they needed her to talk to him, so they just conveniently forgot that part.
Yeah.
I definitely agree about the IV. She could have had something. But one thing that I learned from a different movie about a transplant is the person receiving the transplant, they're better. Their body is working a whole lot better now. Now, the timetable, probably a little too soon. Yes. And, her side probably hasn't healed from being stitched up, but he's going to be the more laid up one because he got his liver cut in half.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I didn't think of that, but that's a good point.
She has a clean liver now. And so even though it's only half a liver, it's working a whole lot better than the other one was. And so, so the getting up and walking around, I'm going to say that was maybe 4 days later, because it definitely was not the next day. So I'm going to kind of suspend reality, say that was about 4 days later. But I do agree that she probably should have had something like an IV. But the fact that she was walking around, I was okay with, because her body would be responding better.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I didn't even know that this was a thing, a live liver organ.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know that. I mean, obviously, I know kidneys. I've heard of some things. But I until I watched this movie, I was like, wow, okay, wow.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know about livers.
Yeah.
I think I'd heard that before, but it's been so long that I'd forgotten about it. But I remembered when they were explaining it in the movie. So Hallmark is teaching you things now.
You learn something new every day, even through Hallmark movies.
Yeah.
Did you notice all the jokes? The jokes in the hospital, they were kind of like boom, boom, boom. So
I didn't.
He says, why are we whispering? And then she said, I have no idea. And then he starts laughing, and she goes, I leave them in stitches.
Yeah, that was
and then, I'm here all week.
A little bit of extra for the people who like the cheesiness.
Yeah.
Got to draw those people in too.
The cheesiness is the best.
Well, and the Marine saying, because the nurse is coming after Heather because she snuck out of her room, and so say, Heather Kruger, and the Marine Chris goes, better hurry, they're after you. So it's just banter. It's just fun banter going back and forth.
Yeah. I know they did a good job with the script on that one.
They really did.
I don't know who wrote it, but they did a good job.
And my last thing that I noticed was right after that scene, they were recovering at home. They were watching a movie. Was that a real movie? Did you guys recognize it?
Yeah, pretty sure it was Rocky Mountain Christmas.
Okay, I was like, that has to be a Hallmark
That's
movie.
Right.
Yeah,
that has to be like cross promotion to one of their other movies.
They were actually still in the hospital. They were they were in a hospital common room kind of area.
Yeah.
But that the trees all lit up, because I remember thinking the same thing, like that has to be a Hallmark movie. Yeah. And then I watched for it, and it was Rocky Mountain Christmas with them kissing in the snow with the trees all lit up. Yeah, that's Rocky Mountain Christmas.
Yeah,
which is a good, I think it's a good one. It's one that
Rachel loves that one.
Yeah, I love that one.
She likes to drool over Chris McNally and his beardless
That's
face.
Right. I really like that one. When we covered it, this was way back when it was just Amber and I. When we covered it, we were divided on it. She didn't like it. Right. I liked it. It made my top 10 of that year. But yeah, that was fun to have the little Easter egg of another Hallmark movie. They don't always do that. Sometimes it's like some really old version of Christmas Carol you'll see from like 1930 or something like that.
That's right. There was a different one we watched for something they were watching some old Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember
For
which one it
trading,
was.
Trading Christmas, I think they do that maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, or one of those movies that we talked about.
I think
But
they did
it's
that in one of those Christmas Carol versions that we did last
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Like it was a version of a Christmas Carol, but they were watching a Christmas Carol movie.
Yeah.
Oh
And it was
yeah.
at a moment.
we did on Lifetime. They had a version of Christmas Carol with what's her name?
Tori Spelling.
Tony Braxton.
Ah.
Yeah, that one's fun.
Tori Spelling was in another one.
Yeah, and that one's fun too, I think. But yeah, it's fun when they have those little Easter eggs. That's a good catch.
The second I saw that, I was like, that has to be a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Like, I need to ask them if they recognized it.
Yeah.
And you did. So very good.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed both of these. This was fun. Fun to get to have a little Christmas in July for your channel.
Yeah. I've really liked doing these. That's why I wanted to make sure I get another one in this year. And
Great.
I'll kind of be doing two, since we're going to do like a bonus one later on.
Yeah.
It's not Hallmark, but in that realm.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to talk about Doctor Who.
Christmas Perfection.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Well, thanks for having us on your show.
Yeah.
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for joining me. A lot of times when I have a new guest, I like to do like a little Q&A, like get to know you a little better.
Lay them on me.
Okay, so first one, kind of generic. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, like work, pets, hobbies, that kind of thing?
Okay. I am Cammie Clements from Texas. I have lived in Texas pretty much all my life, except about 8 years of it. That's because for 3 years I lived in Central America with my parents, and then 5 years I was up at college, but I came home in the summer. So Texas has pretty much been home for my entire life. Been married for 12 years, and I have 4 children ranging from 9 to 2. I am a piano and voice teacher. I majored in theater in college, so I'm a big singer and actor, performer, and I love Christmas. I really do. I love Christmas. I warned my husband before we got married. I said, okay, listen, you need to know something. I'm a Christmas freak. I won't do anything until after Thanksgiving because I'm a Christmas purist, but I'm a Christmas freak. So you better say that's okay or leave now because you do not want to be married to me if you don't like Christmas.
So is that how you got into the Hallmark world?
Hallmark itself, probably. I probably got in through the Christmas movies. However, I will say this, that one of the ways I got into Hallmark is I saw when I was surfing channels, I would see names like Danica McKellar. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen her in anything for a long time. She's still acting? That's cool. I'm going to watch it. And it was a Hallmark movie. So that's kind of how I got into the Hallmark world, was Christmas movies / name recognition.
Okay. And how did you get into the podcasting side of it?
That was this one's fault.
I kind of wondered.
I started a blog for When Calls the Heart at my husband's suggestion, because I started writing fan fiction for When Calls the Heart, and I thought that he would make fun of me for it because he's not really into Hallmark. And so I waited several weeks before I showed it to him, and then I kind of handed it to him and, prepared for impact. And he put it down and said, "You need to write a book." Huh? And so then he said, let's start with a blog. I've never even followed a blog, and you want me to run a blog? Like, yeah. Okay. So I had been doing that for a little while, and then I saw the Hallmarkies Podcast saying, we're looking for bloggers to be guest hosts. So, I'll help out. So they brought me on for When Hope Calls, and I've been a member for a year now.
Okay.
Oh, it seems so much longer than that.
I know.
Has it really only been a year?
It really has only been a year.
That's amazing.
It was early August, right? It was August right before When Hope
Wow.
Calls came on. I know.
That's
Crazy.
crazy. It feels so much longer than that.
So much longer.
Yeah. Cammie had reached out to. Yeah, well, I forgot that we had done that part of the tweet out. But yeah, she reached out to us, and I had her on this When Hope Calls show, and she did a great job. And what's the best about Cammie, and there's many good things, but she remembers details so well. So she's the perfect person to have on a recap show, because I'm just like, yeah, that was a nice, and she remembers all the names, all the and that is
nice.
Oh, it's so helpful. It's very, very helpful.
I think I bug you with all the details.
No, it's great. It's perfect. And yeah, I love all of our co-hosts. I really do. And it's just so great because they all bring something special to the table and have something special to contribute. And, you know, I know that all the Hardys just were very happy we brought on Cammie. So, as was I. So.
It's Nathan Grant, not Nate.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially at Christmas, I was just amazed that she could remember all of the names of the characters. Because most of the time I'm like, I just say the actor's name. Yeah, I just say the actor's name because I have no idea what the character's name is.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of memory. I have to take fairly detailed notes if I want to remember like the names of the characters. If I've only watched it one time, I had to write down the names for these because I wouldn't have remembered otherwise.
Yeah.
Just say the name Jack, and 5 out of 10 times you're right.
Yeah.
Hallmark really seems to like the name Jack. I've found.
That's so true. Or at Christmas time, you're pretty a safe guess some kind of Christmas name like Noel or Eve.
Did you notice that there were 2 Noels in Fir Crazy?
Yeah.
The deceased wife was Noel, and then the baby at the end was named Noel.
Yeah. That's classic.
They couldn't do that in Once Upon a Christmas Miracle because you're working with real people, so they had to take the real names. So.
Well, that is something that I kind of noticed that not that it's something that really stands out, but the names just felt more realistic, and I don't know why, but they were real. So maybe
because they're real names,
an unconscious bias or what. But I just felt like these really feel like real people's names, and in Fir Crazy, it like Elise and Darren, they don't feel as real as like Heather.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. They're real names, but like putting them together, it somehow made them feel more fictional.
Yeah. It's funny.
That's just something that stood out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hallmark in their names.
So, Cammie, what are your favorite kinds of movies?
Oh,
Is it all Hallmark, or do you like mainstream movies as well?
Oh, I love mainstream movies. I do, of course, love Hallmark, and I love When Calls the Heart, love Signed, Sealed, Delivered. Those are my 2 favorites. But mainstream, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. My husband and I celebrate May the 4th every year. Somehow we mark the day. We wanted to have a party this year, but obviously that didn't happen. But we still made Jell-O molds, and we served them to our kids on the Millennium Falcon serving platter that we have. So love Star Wars. I love classics. So Star Wars, obviously, but Man from Snowy River. Love Man from Snowy River. Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm.
I was raised on Princess Bride, Man from Snowy River, and the Star Wars trilogy. That covers my childhood. That's basically. So you know, I am picky about my movies. It takes a certain kind of movie. Being into musical theater, I love the movie versions of plays, Sound of Music, Les Mis, the one that was just done a few years ago with Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway. Oh, amazing rendition of Les Mis. So yeah, I do love Hallmark movies because you don't have to worry as much about what you are seeing on the screen, especially, you know, being a mom. But I do love me some mainstream movies.
So Rachel and I both really like animation. Are you into any animation?
My husband loves anime, but that's about as close as I get to it. Does Second Degree count?
And you don't have a favorite Disney or Pixar?
Oh, that kind of animation. Okay, but I thought, are we talking anime or are we talking?
Any animation.
Gosh, I love Disney. I love Disney. I just recently watched Tangled with my kids, and we're all dancing and singing and getting down. Oh yeah, I love Disney. That was something. I was Snow White with a homemade costume that my mother sewed for me. I was probably Snow White for Halloween 3 years in a row. I love Disney princesses. My favorite Disney movie would probably have to be the live version of Cinderella. I love what they did with that story. They stayed true to the original tale, but they just flourished and brought out so many details that have never even been thought of before. Kenneth Branagh was a genius in that. It should have been nominated for a whole lot more Oscars than it was, and it should have won 3 of them. So.
Yeah, I really love that one as well, and I'm pretty tough on those live action remakes.
I know, me too. Like Maleficent, I don't like it. I cannot get behind Maleficent. So no, I was really iffy on Cinderella, but I just went and I loved it.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Yeah, but I do love regular animation, Tangled, for Pixar, Toy Story. I love the trilogy. I've only seen Toy Story 4 once, so I can't really say much on it, but the trilogy, I was sobbing my eyes out by the end of it when Woody says, "So long, partner." I'm like, I'm okay. So yes. Yeah. Crazy about Disney and animation, all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you can be a mom of 4 children and not be.
Do you have favorite book series? You mentioned writing. I'm assuming you like to read too.
I do. Let's see. I'm reading one right now by Rachel Fordham that I've never read before, but it is so good. It's called Yours Truly, Thomas. And it takes place in the 1880s. And it's really enthralled me. I like historical fiction. Another favorite author of mine is Anita Stansfield. She's not as well known, but she's really fantastic. Let's see. I love Shannon Hale. She wrote the Goose Girl series or the Books of Bayern. It's juvenile fiction, but I still love them. Yeah.
I think, Jonathan, I think you'd actually really like that series.
Oh, the Goose Girl series. Yeah. I'm rereading them for the first time in many years with my 9-year-old daughter, and she's just eating them up. We just finished Goose Girl, so we're going on to the next one in the series, and she's all yay! So.
Yeah. I think you'd like them.
The title. What is it about?
So it's fantasy. It's also, you can't call it historical, but it's princesses, kingdoms, and
fairy tale.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale / fantasy because the protagonist of the story, her name is Anadori, and she has this gift that she finds of wind speaking, and she uses the wind to speak to it and sends the wind to places to kind of blow somebody over when they're about to attack or something like that. And so it's very mystical, but set forth in a very believable stone stepping kind of manner. And it's and so each book in the series is about a different character who finds their gift. So it's very good. In addition to the Books of Bayern, Shannon Hale has also written Princess Academy, which is different. It doesn't follow the Books of Bayern, but it's the same type of idea.
That
And
sounds familiar too.
yeah, we read that one first, my daughter and I, and she said, I want more. I'm like, well, good, because here we go. Here's Goose Girl. So yeah, I don't have as much time to read as I would like. I'm actually currently writing a novel. So I'm currently writing a novel. And so I don't have as much time to read as I would like, but yeah, I do like to read.
What kind of music do you like?
Soft rock. My favorite singer is Josh Groban.
Oh,
So
okay.
I like ballads. Of course, I like anything from Broadway almost. I often, the shower head is very familiar with my belting tones of Wicked and Les Mis, and my husband used to say that he hated riding in the car with me because I would always play my Wicked CD and I'd be, so yeah.
My family was really big into Josh Groban for a while too.
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing.
My cousins and I recently rewatched Muppets Most Wanted, and I forgot he was in that movie.
Yep. Does that little cameo.
Yeah, he's in there in multiple scenes, but you never see him until the end.
You never see him, right?
Once you hear the voice, it was like, oh yeah, that's Josh Groban.
Gotta be him. Yeah, that's right.
I have one more question that's, I don't know, it's different than the other kinds of questions. It's one that I think is kind of interesting. What is the first movie that you remember seeing in theaters?
Oh, that would be a toss-up between The Little Mermaid and Return to Snowy River. I can't remember which one came first, but I was very young because both of them came out very early in my life. But yeah, it was one of those two. It was either The Little Mermaid, which I loved, and Return to Snowy River, which I loved. So
that question is different for me because my family never went to the theater when I was growing up.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like I missed out on anything until I started going, and I was like, I wish I would have done this years ago. But
right.
Once when I was really little, because my aunt took us to see Miracle on 34th Street, the remake.
I love that one.
I need to see
watch
that
it every Thanksgiving. I watch it every Thanksgiving. It's my perfect kind of merge from Thanksgiving into Christmas movie because it starts with the Thanksgiving Day parade and then goes into Christmas. So,
okay. I don't remember hardly any of the movie. I just remember that was the first movie that we ever saw in theaters.
Yeah.
But then years later, when we actually started going, this is why I kind of want to count the next one as my first one because I actually remember it. We went to see The Princess Diaries.
I love that one too. I love that one.
It's kind of weird. Like, I'm from a family of all boys, but we saw these commercials and we
Really?
thought it was hilarious. And we really wanted to see it.
Oh my gosh.
We had a family friend who, like, I don't know, she went in on our behalf and convinced my parents to take us to see it. And everybody loved it.
How many brothers do you have?
4. There's 5 of us all together.
Wow. See, I'm from a family of 6, 5 brothers, and then me at the tail end. So, yeah, I understand 5 boys.
And it seems like a kind of a strange movie that a bunch of boys would want to see, but
it would be.
The trailers were hilarious.
They are hysterical.
Well, I think that's all my questions for now. I'm looking through my list. I'm not seeing anything else that really popping up that's relevant to you. You probably don't have like favorite superheroes or anything.
You want to bet?
Okay. Well, do you have favorite superheroes you want to talk about?
Favorite superhero is Dean Cain's Superman.
Okay.
I loved Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. My parents and I would always record it on a videotape on Sunday night and then we would watch it on Monday night for family night. And sometimes if we were so pumped up, we would watch it in the morning before school. So love Superman for so many reasons, but a special Kane Superman.
Yeah. Doesn't he do some Hallmark movies these days?
He hasn't in a while, but yes, he has.
Yeah, his last one I think was 2018. I think he did. It wasn't a Christmas movie, but he did a winter movie that year, I believe.
He did a cameo. He did a cameo. The one with Benjamin Hollingsworth, the birthday wishes, or the birthday wish list, or something like that, where the girl made a wish every year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So one of her wishes was to be kissed by Dean Cain.
Oh yeah.
Because she watched Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
And so then she goes to a bar for her birthday, and he appears right beside her, and like, oh, it's your birthday. Well, do you mind if I give you a birthday
Is that Lucky
kiss?
in Love? Yeah, I know.
It's not Lucky in Love, but
it's not the birthday wish, because that one's different. I can't remember, but yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
I can't remember the title right now. Yeah. Dang it! I'm losing my credibility with detail.
Yeah, I remember watching that show when I was a kid too. I don't remember specifically watching it, but I know I watched it, and I think we taped it sometimes too. And it was one of those things that was like a vague memory in the back of my head from watching it when I was a kid. Right. And then they started releasing the DVDs probably 10 or more years ago now. And I was like, I remember that show. So then I started buying all those DVDs, and then I became obsessed. And then my cousin and I were both obsessed with it. That was
A Wish Come True. That's what it's called.
A Wish Come True. That's
2015. It. That was a while back.
One? Wow.
Yeah, 2015. No, but his last one was 2018. Was that Winter Dreams? Wasn't my favorite, I would say.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite, but he still did. I think
he was
did
fine.
Good. Yeah.
So.
Well, that's probably all I've got for now.
Should we do our little sign off of our channel and everything?
You want to go first, Rachel?
Sure. Yeah, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And you can find the Hallmarkies Podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast on social media and wherever you can listen to podcasts. And we have a YouTube channel as well. So we're all over the place, and we post at least 3 times a week, every week. So we have a lot of content. It's a lot of fun.
And where can people find you, Cammie?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Cammie Drama Girl. You can find me on Facebook, the Hooked Hardy Facebook page. And my blog is hookedhardy.com. And we have an offshoot of the Hallmarkies podcast, Deliver Me a Pod. And that covers the series Signed, Sealed, Delivered. And so you can find that on Twitter and Instagram as well.
Okay. Well, thanks you guys for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas in July.
That's
Merry
right.
Christmas in July.
Thanks again to Rachel and Cammie for joining me on this episode of I Heart Movies. If you want more from them, I'll have their links in the description below. Now, as we teased earlier in the show, Rachel will be back for another episode next time, as well as for an episode of my other podcast, Every Version Ever. On Every Version Ever, I've been going through different versions of A Christmas Carol for Christmas in July, and Rachel and I are going to be talking about a Doctor Who adaptation of the story. Next time on I Heart Movies, Rachel and I will be looking at another Hallmark-esque film, not actually Hallmark, but in that rom-com realm, a Christmas movie from Lifetime called Christmas Perfection, which Rachel has kind of been hyping up since 2018 when it first aired. And I'll admit she got me curious about it when she said it was about a woman who gets shrunk down to live out her perfect Christmas fantasy inside her decorative Christmas village. The premise just sounded so bizarre that I've actually been wanting to check it out for a while. So we're finally going to talk about it next time here on the show. I'm weirdly excited for that one. So we'll see you then for more Christmas in July on I Heart Movies. Thanks for listening.